Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, family. I just wanted to do a update on my class that is starting here. I should have had this thing in my lap. Here, I'm very excited about this new class that I am starting, that I have a little video, a short infomercial video on this channel. Check it out. It's for women. I am going to really explain, unpack, to the best of my ability by the Ruach HaKodesh, explain to people what is going on in the tree of life. We've been grafted into the tree of life. It's not allegorical. It is a real truth that is carried through from our prophets, all of our texts. And unfortunately, evangelical Christianity, because they have severed themselves from their Hebrew roots, has zero clue about this. Zero. And the Father has been raising up people, and I believe myself, I am one of them, who can teach and articulate accurately, orthodoxly, with orthodoxy, biblically, scripturally, in every way, the truth of the tree of life. So join my class, women only right now. We'll open it up, but for right now, message me, go to my website, The Elect Life, to sign up, pay on my personal PayPal. It's all the information is there. So, or leave me your email and I'll shoot you back information immediately. But today, let me just go right to the point. Oh my gosh. I can't believe we're still, and we will. The new normal is life is never going to be the same. And we are truly fighting the good fight today in terms of against principalities and powers that literally have been thrown to the ground. This is something that's hard for people to wrap their mind around, again, but there is an understanding of the spiritual hierarchy, and we have entered a new phase at the end of the age where actually, biblically, what's going on is, and we saw this during the beginning of the pandemic, during the Passover season, where all of a sudden events escalated to a worldwide biblical scale. The whole world got into lockdown. The whole world was, quote unquote, affected by this virus. Things are happening now on biblical proportions where the whole globe will be affected. This is where we've entered like a wrap up of the age where the Father truly is. He is taking on in a huge way these principalities and powers that have been messing with his inheritance from the get-go. Remember, all Israel, the firstborn, are the inheritance of Yahweh Elohim. And his message is the same as it was to Pharaoh, which has been in every generation. Let my people go so they can come and worship me. This is the whole point. Yahweh's children have been inalienably gifted the right to worship Yahweh Elohim. Unfortunately, we are constantly fighting, which ends up a lot of times in the governments of the world, these principalities and powers that do not want us to do that. Be that as it may. So listen, one of the most, okay, so this election, everybody pray, just pray, pray, pray. We will get through this by the grace of Elohim, but remember Marshall McLuhan wrote a very famous statement in the 50s. He had a book called The Medium is the Message. And nothing has changed, because once we entered into this technological information age that where the whole globe, the whole planet can be accessed from almost like single source information centers, which I'll prove to you is really where we have in this huge consolidation. This control of the narrative, it's all about control of the narrative. You are what you think. All right. If the enemy can keep people from thinking, believing, understanding, incorporating, integrating into their mind, body, soul, and spirit that they are children of Elohim, the Most High God of Israel, then it doesn't matter. Then they're his after that, on whatever level they tap into the God of this world, the spirit of this age. But the thing is, all right, so enough of this all highfalutin stuff. It's Google, people. I mean, the biggest problem, in my opinion, with this election, coming out of this election, is coming up in the next 4 years, is can we, as a nation, constitutionally take back our rights against this globalist, multinational, Luciferian, and literally spiritually, demonically connected communication system we have in the world today, called the grid, I guess. You know, in one way, let the grid go down, because it's really, oh my gosh, maybe it is our only way of escape in the long run. Okay, so people, I don't think a lot of, because when I talk to a lot of YouTube people, or I mean, even on Facebook, oh my God, family members or whatever, people who just, they constantly want to throw out comments, well, Google, because of censorship today. I mean, it should be obvious to everyone on the planet that the level of censorship that is going on by these large tech company platforms is 100% unconstitutional, all right, by anybody's logic, all right, because they have taken away our freedom of expression, all right, which is a constitutional right, freedom of speech, and an inalienable God-given right. Okay, so you're not only fighting against our Constitution, people, they are fighting against God. God controls the narrative, all right? And if you want to think that you're going to usurp his narrative, it's not going to work. Anyways, I don't think people understand how large, okay, so people will say, oh, Google's a private company, they should be able to set their own rules. And if they want to, basically, if they want to censor, they should have every right to. Well, that's not the way it works, all right? In our type of governmental structure and business, as a capitalistic society, all right? Good. I don't think people realize how big these things are. These things are like behemoth size. They have totally, like Pac-Man, gobbled up everything. Google now owns, and you know, it isn't just Google, but they're like the biggest like brand name. When I talk Google, you know, I'm talking about an information platform, right? So Apple, Amazon, Facebook, you know, these things, YouTube, these things are all huge and the millions that are, there's so many that are right behind them scurrying to get a share of the lion's share there. These all possess over 90% of all online searches today. Now that's called a monopoly. That's even beyond a monopoly. That is a principality lockdown. You have to understand, okay? And that is what we have to break free of. I mean, otherwise, well, you have two options. You can, you know, the thing can keep going on, the beast, and you just unplug from it, or we can take it down to the point where we can reinstate our freedom of speech and freedom of information, freedom of narrative, and freedom of dissenting opinions without any repercussion, and especially from these talking heads that think they have the right to tell me what I can think and say, you know, what is the morally good thing to say. And oh my gosh, forget it. If you fall into either category, the extremes, right side or left side, right side is compassion porn, left side is fear porn, and they work the same way, then you do not have a balanced understanding of what's going on. All right. So these are all under investigation now. The craziest thing is, finally, with Barr and the DOJ, they are under great scrutiny and investigation. Now, how much teeth is in this and what can get done before the election, we will have to see. But I'll tell you a little secret. In my opinion, Joe Biden, that ticket, there is no way the Democrats are going to tackle this behemoth, because it serves them. This is their propaganda machine. So don't think it's going to get touched if we have a Democratic presidency. It's not going to happen. All right. So if you're a citizen, if you're a constitutionalist, if you believe in this nation and the republic that was founded, I would think very long and very hard before you enable that party to gain control right now. All right. Whatever you think of Trump, I'll tell you a little secret. At least he's enough of a capitalist to understand this is not good for anyone. All right. And I believe he will put teeth behind these investigations and will put teeth behind this move that the American people need to demand, that these monopolies have to be broken up. From a Christian, from a even as a mystic person, I understand you cannot control the airwaves, the mental, let me say how, because people don't understand. As a man thinketh, so is he. Everything that's coming at us. If you are If you are locked into these platforms for your information and you do not critically think your way through everything you're being fed, then you are a pawn. You are just a consumer pawn in this huge global smackdown that's starting to go on majorly between the kings, the gods of this world, and our Mashiach, whom the Father will send to ultimately deliver the world from this huge, horrible bondage of a Luciferian overlord. Anyways, that's all the spiritual and mystical understanding that's really true. That I'm sorry, this secular, godless world, biblically illiterate religious communities don't even want to tackle because they are just illiterate. There's no other word for it. Okay, so being able to have 90% of control of the narrative is like hugely problematic. But it isn't just these things. They own like the phones. Like Google, it owns all of Android, all Android phone systems, YouTube, this new program called Nest that they just bought. These things are all part of, and let me just say that this is what's happening in this one. When I was young, okay, I was working in New York City, but anyways, I understood, I was in the textile industry, and I understood what was going on then, which has been a trend for the last 60 years called consolidation. That even that industry was beginning to squeeze into consolidation, so that the chain from raw materials to production to supply and even to demand is all controlled by one overarching web or narrative or company. Okay, that is very anti-democratic. Those are the things, when it gets like that, needs to be broken up. So they're doing it in the textile industry, and I experienced it 40 years ago. Okay, this is what's been going on in our communication industry. I mean, everybody should know these 5 large, all the media networks are owned by large corporations, which are really all behind the scenes tied very much into each other. But I was reading this blog, and this guy really did say it quite well. And this is the crux of the matter, okay? Because let me tell you what, if they control the narrative today, like the pandemic, so to speak, what makes you think that it's going to be a clear, the trumpet's out when Messiah comes, that you're even going to have a clue? Okay? They're not looking for this Messiah to liberate them. If anything, they're freaking out because they know this Mashiach is going to lock them up. And I'm tired. Okay, but the point is, this person made a statement. Let me see if I can. Okay, well, anyway, all right, I have to go back to. I mentioned this one company, Nest, that is also owned by the Google conglomerate. Their parent company is this thing called. Oh, this is where these people just piss me off. I'm sorry. The parent company is Alphabet. How absolutely in your face can you be to Yahweh Elohim, who the Alpha and the Omega, or the Aleph and the Tav, the full alphabet, and you're giving your Luciferian communication control network the name Alphabet? That's such a, no, I'm sorry, Yahweh controls the alphabet. Okay, so this is going to get very interesting. But anyways, Nest is a company that is revolutionizing how a thermostat works and what they can transform a device in your home that is sensor-driven, Wi-Fi enabled, learning and provide. In other words, and this is the beginning with Alexis, people are seeing this will completely, it's a grid, it's a net. It's a trap of everything that you do, think, say, buy, which is fed into this and spit back at you. It is a cage. There's no getting around it. All right. But the thing is that this is called, he made the comment, he called this Google's influence of the word ambiguous. Now, how many people can, before you don't even Google the definition, give me the definition of ambiguous? I had to look it up because I haven't heard. I was like, okay, no, wait a minute. What does ambiguous mean again? Listen, Google is ambiguous. Okay, so obviously the person who wrote this blog is a very learned person. That's a pretty cool word, right? It means existing or being everywhere or in all places at the same time. Let that sink in. Something that is ambiguous, if you're going to use that word in a sentence. It's existing or being everywhere or in all places at the same time. And the last phrase is, it's omnipresent. Well, who, according to our, is omnipresent? Who else, quote unquote, besides Google, have we been, has been expressed to us as being omnipresent? Well, of course, that's God, right? That's one of his attributes. You know, he's omnipresent, omniscient, you know, transcendent, all these big words to try to talk that he is everywhere all the time. You know, there is no place in the where he is not. He fills all things in all time, places, spheres, dimensions, and everything. Okay, so, but an omnipresent, if you look that up as a word, it means present everywhere simultaneously. It means present in all places at the same time. So in other words, these two words totally mirror each other. Now, isn't that interesting that we would have such a large informational platform that is being referred today as being ambiguous, which is rivaling God? I mean, this is really, I want that to sink into people, because it's really true in the sense, all of our, and people today, I mean, most of the kids today, I'm sorry, they don't even have a chance in the, especially during this pandemic. I mean, oh my gosh, you know, wisdom is justified of her children, and it's going to come out more and more, and it will really come out, and I believe with lawsuits and investigations, and into nursing homes, into schools, into so many places where these lockdowns, into high-rise buildings, places where people have had to stay locked down and cramped down in a lot of the cities. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, when the investigations come to see how bad the fruit of these policies are and how they ruin people's lives, destroyed their income ability, brought depression and suicide and hopelessness and despair, and just like, WTF? I mean, what, you just, who's going to fix this thing, this behemoth? Okay, these are some of the attitudes. This is the fruit of this. All right. So you have to look at the fruit. Yahweh gives us freedom. You talk about freedom of information. He gives us the ultimate freedom. We can explore the creation. Well, let me go back to my point. Especially kids today and people today, we are so completely unplugged from what is called the natural world, the world that seriously intelligence beyond ours created. Nature, some of the most, well, I put in that category the texts. Well, I won't even go there. All right. Well, revelation, these revelatory texts. All right. But a lot, you know, just being close to the earth, living according to the rhythms, normal rhythms of nature, you know, these things. So few people do this stuff today. We are so disconnected, and we are so in an artificial lifestyle bubble. Now you put on top of that what they call, quote unquote, artificial intelligence, which I'm telling you people, there's nothing artificial. The artificial in this intelligence put Luciferian. See, I'm telling you, this is what, when you get to that level of mental, emotional, psychological, physical, you know, body, in the foods we eat, in the air we breathe, in the water we drink, in every thought that's bombarding us, all right, is not coming from the tree of life. All right, it is coming from the tree of the fruit of knowledge, good and evil, and its fruit is going to produce great evil. This is okay, and this gets into the whole concept of how the, you know, the system is wired. You will reap what you sow. But my point is, only God, and when I say God, and I'm talking about Yahweh Elohim, the high God of Israel, is the only, quote unquote, omnipresent one, king of the mountain, so to speak. All right, Satan, he is not God. He can elevate himself. He is trying to make people ascribe, and this is the mark of the beast. People don't understand the word mark, in my opinion, in it's more of its Hebraic sense, where it is a glyph. It's an imprint. It's an image. It is something that filters. Okay, so let's say my See, it's hard to realize. It is the, okay, so if you had straight light streaming through, let's say I'm on a projector and I have straight light beaming through this projector. All of a sudden I put up a film, something in front of it that has a cutout image, all right? And so the light streams specifically now only through that cutout image, okay? That image is called the mark. So in other words, that image, that thing that's been cut out of reality even, is what is the light is streaming through. And so that's what you're going to see manifested. And this is sort of how the light of Elohim works. This is how, but this is a principle, all right? It gets into some of the deep metaphysical physics that are real. I'm sorry. The secular mindset that just thinks that the whole psychology of mankind, all of our, just like literally is just organic, and a couple of, depends on what I had for lunch. I mean, come on, you're so ignorant. Just, okay. But the point is this mark. So if your projectile image that light is streaming to you is either marred in some way or is not the correct one, like the one that God didn't, that Yahweh Elohim didn't make, so that you're getting true light, whatever's coming through, that is a mark. And then a mark, that's the of the beast. So the beast is a code word, people, I would tell you, for the demonic realm. All right. It's like a beast kingdom. It's not going to, it's ferocious. This is the point. They're never satisfied. That's why people who live from this nature, right? They're never satisfied. This is why it says the love of money is the root of all evil. Their passions, they do not have their passions, their thoughts, their minds, their bodily, anything under control. All right. They're just completely lower natured. All right. That is what is coming through. That will be the fruit. That's what's coming through in this Luciferian projection that's coming on our whole planet. I don't know if that really made sense. This is the kind of deep stuff that I really want to flush out in my new class, because we need to understand. You never need to make an excuse or about Torah. Torah is the most intense technology that on the planet. All right. Much of it is so coded and hidden because God does hide himself. God forbid that, yes, they have stolen some quote unquote God technologies and turned it around and used it on us. All right. But ultimately, it's going to be nothing. I mean, Yeshua even says he's going to destroy the beast in the kingdom by the breath of his mouth. The breath. Oh my gosh, what a word. The olive. This is where these are things that I'm going to unpack on deep levels to the best that I can have been able to understand them after years of studying the keys of the kingdom, or the whole concept of how words are encrypted to the deep spiritual mysteries of what's going on behind the veil is encrypted in all of these letters with their nikkun and their vowels and their the tagine, the crowns, and all these notations. Okay, very deep stuff. So my point is just basically, okay, he will exalt himself in the heavens and say that he is God. And that's just, you could try, but it's not going to happen. And this is what Christians, when you pray, you need to pray specifically and target the principality of the earth, that this monster, these information platforms that are truly run and are the tools in the physical realm of fallen angel intelligences. All right, there's no getting around this. This has happened before. This is the whole point of the flood, pre-flood. This is the point of Nimrod. These people, this has been our constant battle from the get-go. But this time we need to really, the extent of praying, humbling ourselves, calling upon God, because truly these principalities, it's going to take Mashiach to come against some of these Amarillos and Amalek. These are some of the Bible code words. Esau, some of these large principalities. All right. So do yourself a favor. Don't believe anything you see or hear. I mean, it's really scary because, again, the way they can do fake, the way they can just put images together that you can never verify truly if they actually happened or not. It's very serious. So anyways, but to me, this election, besides the vaccine, because see, the thing is, they've got us on every level. The last level, it will be a vaccine, which most people, they have the technology to inject into the vaccine actual programs that can literally go in and change a person's DNA so that they really no longer have, literally on a genetic level, the image of Elohim transcribed on them. They do have the image. So on every level, see, I guess my point would be, don't think of this mark in just always in the physical, the Peshat level. These things are coded to explain how these things work on all the different dimensional levels. Okay? And we have way more power than we think. Everybody all the good people are wondering how to push back. Well, you got to open your mouth and you got to speak truth unapologetically, quite in their face. Tell these whoremongers, sorcerers, those who practice magic arts, those who are sexually immoral, those who just love money and are greedy, all this bad fruit, to just sit down and shut up and repent. Seriously. All right. And then so anyways, we'll see how it goes. But do your research. These things are huge. These are on the level of being totally locked down by fallen angel principalities and intelligences that are connected all the way up to a Luciferian control. So on that note, Shabbat Shalom. I will see you next week. And again, don't forget my class if you're interested. So on that note, I will see you next time.